visionary, revolutionary. I'm a visionary, revolutionary.
Thank you everyone for tuning in to this episode of the news. This newscast. This is the predictions to today's show of Revolution. And we also have 6 stories to you. We got 3 WWE stories, and KB the Mark will present you 3 AEW stories. I am Camilio Salamander, and I am with KB the fucking Mark today.
Because I'm a fucking mark for this shit. Salamander, it is Revolution Day. It seems like we've been waiting for this pay-per-view for 3 weeks. But it's finally here. And I have a spoiler. We'll get to it when we get to it, but I want you to know I have a potential spoiler.
Spoiler, okay. Alright, so let's jump into this news. We got Stone Cold Steve Austin. He has not agreed to wrestle at WWE WrestleMania. Now, there's been teasers on Monday Night Raw in the recent weeks from Kevin Owens. He's seemingly leading to something at WrestleMania, but as of now, it's not guaranteed that Stone Cold Steve Austin will actually wrestle. On the episode of Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer stated that WWE wants Austin in the actual match, but as of Friday, Austin has not agreed to that. Austin, he will be on the show, but only as he thinks things is committed so far as a confrontation. So, as far as we know, Stone Cold's only supposed to be on the show to confront Kevin Owens, not as a match. Now, do you think things will change in the future, or do you think they are actually not planning on using him for WrestleMania? They're probably gonna use him at WrestleMania Backlash, maybe. If they're doing a confrontation, I'm pretty sure matches are right around the corner from that. Because what's the point of having him confront Kevin Owens if y'all not gonna finish it off?
Yeah, I think this could actually work in WWE's favor, because you could really put some more heel heat on Kevin Owens with this. So you don't have to do Stone Cold at WrestleMania. You could easily bring in another Texan, someone who struck it big in the stock market. I'm talking of course about the wrestling god, JBL. KO can beat JBL in Dallas. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It's swerve because he been beefing with Texas lately, but they haven't really confirmed who it is, like who he's gonna face and stuff. So it could be anybody from Texas. Ain't Shawn Michaels from Texas? Ain't he from
I think he's from Houston.
Yeah, I thought he's from San Antonio.
It might be San Antonio. It might be San Antonio.
Yeah, so it could be anybody from Texas for real.
Yeah, but you know, but has he been talking about Texas or Dallas? Just Texas in general?
Texas in general.
Oh yeah, I mean, it for real.
First came to the main roster, we defeated John Cena. He was like, the only thing I regret about that night is the fact that it took place in Texas. He tweeted.
I mean, honestly, the best way to go about it is if you're not going to have a match with Stone Cold at WrestleMania, the confrontation is fine, because now that the fans know Stone Cold's going to be there, whatever night you put it for, that that night's going to sell. So probably put it on night 1. He can Kevin Owens can fight JBL. He can beat JBL at WrestleMania, and then he can be confronted by Stone Cold.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Moving on to our next story, we got Brock Lesnar. He considered himself retired after WrestleMania 36. Now, Brock Lesnar, he's finished out his contract with WWE at WrestleMania 36 in 2020, where he had lost the WWE title to Drew McIntyre. Lesnar, he went on hiatus with the belief that he would return to the company when they needed him. Lesnar, he returned last August at SummerSlam to have work a showdown with Roman Reigns, which led into them working the Universal title match at Crown Jewel, where the big dog went over. Lesnar, he had said, in quote, "When I was younger, I thought I wanted to retire when I'm 40. I actually retired when COVID hit and my contract was up in 2020. Full circle, I had my first wrestling match in Minnesota. It was garbage, no people. 20 years later, I had a WWE title match at WrestleMania in a warehouse in front of no people. 20 years, full circle. I'm like, yeah, I'm out. So I'm glad he didn't retire when he wanted to, basically, because I think what he's basically said when he first had his first ever wrestling match, it was in front of nobody in Minnesota 20 years ago, and when his last match on contract was taking place in front of nobody. So I think that was just like, yeah, like COVID took a turn, a hit on everybody, and I think that was just the final straw for him. But I'm glad to see that he changed his mind and came back. So if he decided to retire after this, I would be glad. I would be okay with it. Just the simple fact is, I think that we did all that we could do with Brock Lesnar. I think we seen all that we could see with Brock Lesnar. We seen Brock Lesnar in 20 years ago, wrestling in the early 2000s. We seen that Brock, the next big thing Brock. We seen him dominate. He did professional wrestling, left that shit, got bored, went to go play football. Realized that he made the practice squad, but realized like, all right, this ain't for me. I'm gonna go fight for real. Did the UFC, became a star in that, got into the Hall of Fame, came back to WWE, broke more records, dropped the title, decided that he was gonna go ahead and retire. Decided, nah, I'm not gonna end my career like that. I'm gonna come back. This time, coming back as a babyface, working his programs by himself. He don't need Paul Heyman. So I was like, I think if he decided to hang him up after this, I would be okay with that. Just for the fact, I think we've seen everything that we could possibly see.
I would be okay with that as well. Me personally, I do want one more match. I do want to see Damian Priest versus Brock Lesnar. I do think that would be a barn burner. I think they would tear the house down. I do want to see that, but if Brock Lesnar wants to get up out of here after this run, I say he goes down as top 3 WWE superstar of all time.
When do he get inducted into the Hall of Fame if he decides to retire this year? Is it next year, or
I would say next year.
Next 5 years?
I would say next year. If he goes to Vince after he drops the WWE Championship to Roman and he says, "Hey Vince, I'm hanging it up." Cool. If I'm Vince, the next day, because you know how they like to wait to the Royal Rumble, I'm dropping that Hall of Fame induction early. As soon as he retires.
You know, yesterday me and you, we had a discussion that, you know, we wasn't recording, this is behind the camera. But remember how I was saying that I believe, you know, WWE is a sport in its own way. It has sport criteria, but just the fact that it's predetermined, most people don't label it as a sport. Why not have, like, treat the Hall of Fame as like, you know, the sport criteria too, where, you know, in the NBA you have to be retired you have to be moved from the game for X amount of years to even be eligible to be retired, to be eligible to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Why won't they take that into consideration with WWE too? Like, to me, like, when I would play the WWE games, I like to create my own story and everything. So I will count pay-per-view wins and losses. That's the only thing I would keep track of, kind of how AEW do it, but mainly just with the pay-per-views. So one of my criteria would be if you win, well, let's say 75 pay-per-view matches. That's one criteria that gets you into the Hall of Fame. So let's say that you meet that standard. Let's say Brock Lesnar, boom. He already have 70. He won over 75 pay-per-view matches. Boom. He met one criteria. He's been removed from. He haven't had a match in 2 years, so he had to be at least 2 years removed to be eligible. That's another one. Boom. Now he's able to be inducted instead of being inducted that following year. It just builds some anticipation for it and all that stuff too. Make more people look into the Hall of Fame classes, because it's like now it's really guessable. Like when they announce the classes of who get inducted. And so, but I wouldn't even announce the class. I would just announce the headline, who the headliner is, and then the people in between them would be surprises. I don't know. Maybe just because it's different, just because it's wrestling. I just feel like that would be more different. That would make people tune in more to it. Because I know me personally, during WrestleMania weekend, that's one of the shows I do not tune into. Just depend, like this year I will, because the Undertaker get inducted. But just depending on what that class looking like, I'm like, there's only 2 people I really care about. I don't really care about the rest. So I'm not even gonna tune in. But it kind of makes you think like, dang, this person ain't wrestling in a while. They retired. Listen, they might be inducted. Let me tune in. This will make it more spontaneous. Make people want to tune into it more. Build some type of hype around it. I don't know. I just feel like they should do something different with it because it's so stale right now.
I agree to a certain extent. The criteria part I agree with. The one thing I hate about the NBA Hall of Fame is how long you do have to wait before you get inducted. And the reason I agree with WWE, like you can retire and then be inducted the next year. The reason I bring that up, and this is no correlation between the two, and I don't want you to think like I'm not advocating for something bad to happen to somebody, but remember when Kobe passed. The great thing about being inducted into the Hall of Fame is hearing the speech from said person. Well, Kobe was taken before his time, so now we don't get that Hall of Fame speech.
Yeah.
So when you wait, then you can have instances like that where something bad happens and the person who was supposed to be getting inducted, something bad or tragic happens to them. Now we don't get that moment. So in that retrospect, I like WWE. Hey, if you had the type of impact that Brock's had, I can understand Brock getting inducted next year. I can see that, and it allows us to get to that spot quickly of getting them in the Hall of Fame and hearing their speech. Because like you, I don't tune into the Hall of Fame shows, but I would imagine if I did, that's the part I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
What stories do you have? What are you going to say? What is the person who's inducting you? What are they going to say?
Right.
So, in that aspect, the criteria I can agree with. But then the question is, what's the criteria? Because you have people like Brock Lesnar who are double-digit champions, and they've made an impact. But then you have people like The Miz, who is a 2-time Grand Slam champion, the only one in the company, but he's only been a world champion twice. So it's like, does he get in? I mean, because technically he's a Grand Slam champion twice, the only one in the company, but he never made the impact that Brock did. He never made the impact of Roman. You got these titles just because the company didn't know where else to go. Outside of the first one. I say the second one, they didn't know where to go. The first one, that was just his word. And then I could say that, The Miz never had the impact that Brock had. But if you look over The Miz's entire career from beginning to where it is now, he's a bona fide Hall of Famer because he shouldn't even be here.
I'm gonna say one thing about the Hall of Fame before we move on to the last story. But if it wasn't for Miz, I don't think Daniel Bryan's WWE career would have even been the way it was without him. That rivalry helped elevate Bryan to the next level that we needed to see him. So I will say that's important. Miz, he been a part of certain people's careers that if it wasn't for that, I don't think their career would have been where it was. John Morrison, even at one point John Cena's career, when we was all tired of him, at one point that rivalry between them, I think that was like one of John Cena's best rivalries between the Miz, for real.
Yeah, and that just goes back to my point. Like, if you look over the Miz's entire career, he's a bona fide.
About impact alone, though. Rivalries and everything, that's impact.
Yeah, I mean, but has he really had the impact of a Roman? Has he had the impact of a Brock? Has he had the impact of a Punk, a Stone Cold, a KO?
Just think about this. Everything that the Miz done in his career, take it out. Is WWE the same? I don't think so. Besides Chris Miracle, he's the second longest reigning Intercontinental Champion.
I mean, but can you really sit there and say he's had a big of an impact as a Seth, a KO,
I think
a Roman, a Brock?
I think if the Miz never went to WWE and none of his accomplishments and stuff happened, I think WWE would look totally different. Just that one change would change up the whole atmosphere in WWE and stuff. That's like saying, what if Dolph Ziggler never signed to WWE? That changed a lot. Big E would have never got with the New Day because we only got introduced to Big E from that. AJ career probably wouldn't have never took off with it the way it did. AJ might still be with WWE. She may never met CM Punk and shit like that. You never know. Just that one, taking away that one person can affect everything. Taking away Miz, Daniel Bryan probably would have never got over it like he did in WWE. We would have never got the Yes Movement because all that stuff led into it and all that stuff. So we would have never got we would have never got John Morrison. Seeing him the way we seen him and stuff too. Just simple, just little stuff though.
Okay, well let me ask you this and then we can move on. I hear what you're saying. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, take away those 2 world championships. Is he a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
You think without those 2 world titles, he's a Hall of Famer? Because I'm a huge Miz fan, and I can tell you those 2. If it wasn't for the fact that he was a 2-time Grand Slam champion, you take those 2 world titles out, he's just he's a decent to good top mid-carder.
I would say Miz, he gets into the Hall of Fame from his tag team accomplishments, his mid-card accomplishment. He's a multi-time Intercontinental champion and a multi-time United States champion. And just him winning the world title, it just solidifies him getting into the Hall of Fame because that made him a Grand Slam champion twice because he won it twice. So I think that just solidified it. But if he never won them titles, he would still got in because of his tag team titles and the mid card titles for real. Plus, he won Slammy Awards and all that stuff too. So I think so.
We're gonna have to agree to disagree. I think he would be a very good mid-card act at best without those 2 championship wins.
He probably would have been the person. I won't say he would headline the rest Hall of Fame event, but he probably would have been like one of the first 2 people that's get inducted. One of the ones that don't really have a long speech and stuff without the title wins. But yeah, I do think he would have made it. But one thing about the Hall of Fame, I do think you should at least have to wait a couple years before you even be eligible to enter. Cause then that's where you can avoid the situation with Lita and Edge, how they came back and now they being introduced as a Hall of Famer, but Edge is fucking full-time. So that's how you avoid situations like that. Like you get an injury, you have to retire, boom. But you might be able to get medically clear and come back. Now you're in the Hall of Fame shit. So I think if you do that, like how Edge do, I think it should be something like he had to forfeit his Hall of Fame induction. So he's no longer a Hall of Famer. So then when he retire again, they'll take his full career, his career before, and then his comeback career. Then boom, he'd be a Hall of Famer again if he get inducted. That's what I think, because now it's like he already inducted, but this run is one of his greatest runs, and it's like, you ain't gonna talk about it because he already in the Hall of Fame. So it's like when he's done, he's done.
But
avoid that mixed conception of people being into the Hall of Fame, and then 2 years later they come back for a full-time run, and they Hall of Famers and stuff. So I don't know.
I feel you. I just wouldn't want to run into a Kobe situation with like a Brock Lesnar. Or better yet, what if The Undertaker had an accident and he tragically lost his life? Now, this Hall of Fame, we're not going to get that Taker Hall of Fame speech. We're not going to hear the stories, what he's got to say about the company and everything else. Because, typically on those Hall of Fame speeches, they let you go and just say what you want to say anyway, especially for The Undertaker.
Headliner, yeah.
Yeah, so, if something tragic happened, and he'd say he had to wait 5-10 years, So now something tragic happens, we don't get that Hall of Fame speech. So now it's like, yeah, he got inducted, but I really wish they'd have just did it when he was alive. So then we could have heard the stories, the speech itself, what he had to say about his career overall, how do you feel about Vince, anybody else? That's all I'm saying. It's better to do it while they're alive, so you don't miss that opportunity.
All right, moving on to our last WWE story. We got the Madison Square Garden full show results, plus Brock Lesnar, he was busted open. Now, I'm going to talk about this segment where he was busted open, but before I talk about the full show and give you the results. So before the match, Paul Heyman, he came out and cut a promo, said Bob Backlund, Steve Austin, Bruno Sammartino, and big other names did not build MSG. Theory cut a long promo on Lesnar. Then Lesnar came out and said that he would take Theory to Suplex City. Theory lost the match after taking 4 suplexes and an F5. After the match, Roman Reigns, he came out and laid Lesnar out with a Superman punch, but Lesnar came back with 3 suplexes. The Usos came out and they also took a beating from Brock Lesnar. Now Paul Heyman, he got involved and he teased using a chair against Brock Lesnar, but Brock Lesnar had saw him and went to grab him, and then that's when Roman Reigns had jumped up and hit Lesnar with chairs before knocking him out with some steel steps. Reigns then picked up and slammed Lesnar on the steel steps, and by this point Lesnar's head, he was covered in blood. The show had ended with Roman Reigns holding both titles, standing over Brock Lesnar. After Reigns left, Lesnar got up and smiled as the blood continued to pour down his face. Now, this is the full show for the MSG event, house show, mega house show. It was the WWE Tag Team Champions, Alpha Academy. They defeated RK Bro. Finn Balor, he defeated Damian Priest via disqualification. The Usos defeated the New Day. Becky Lynch, she defeated Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. Becky, she had pinned Rhea Ripley. Roman Reigns had defeated Seth Rollins. It was a segment with Miz TV. He came out and interviewed Kevin Owens. It ended with Kevin Owens hit Miz TV with a stunner. Sami Zayn had issued a challenge for anyone in the back, and Drew McIntyre came out and beat him. Sonya Deville and Naomi Ronda Rousey and Naomi defeated Charlotte Flair and Sonya Deville. Ronda had forced Charlotte to tap out via armbar, and then Austin Theory defeated Brock Lesnar defeated Austin Theory. What did you think about this like that little big go home show? Not really go home show, but a big mega house show that they had in MSG. What do you think about, what I read about Roman Reigns doing, him and the Usos doing what they did, him holding up both titles? It just looked like, by the way this is booked, this shit could have been on TV for real. This should have been like fucking the SmackDown show, or they could have just did. This might fuck around be SmackDown go home, Raw go home show. How they say that it's gonna be with SmackDown stars. They might book something similar to this, which is basically all the matches that's gonna take place on night 1, night 2. Just give us a teaser on it, cause that's what it sounds like for real. I mean, the right people won. The people, the 9 times out of 10, I bet you the Usos at WrestleMania gonna either fight the New Day or the Viking Raiders, or it might be both in a triple threat tag team match. I guarantee that shit. Damian Priest and Finn Balor, that's gonna be at WrestleMania because he just dropped the title to Finn Balor. I guarantee that. We need something for Ricochet because I told you Ricochet was gonna take the title, but we need something for Ricochet because it looked like Sami Zayn, he's fighting the Jackass guy, so Johnny Knoxville, so it don't matter. So we need something for him, but I don't know. It just seems like this sounds too good. So I mean, it should have been on TV.
This doesn't sound good at all. First off, you said Ricochet. You said you're right about Ricochet. Yeah, Ricochet's getting this big push. Yeah, he couldn't beat Sami Zayn clean. couldn't beat Sami Zayn clean. So I don't know how big this push is going to be.
A win is a win in the record books.
A win is a win, but it ain't a win when it's not clean. Your babyface can't even win clean.
Oh, keep that same energy when it's Roman.
Roman ain't a babyface. Roman's a heel.
It don't matter. He can't win without his cousins.
That's fine. He's a heel. That's what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
I don't get mad at when Roman does heel stuff, but I do get mad when Ricochet is supposed to get a supposedly big push and he can't even beat Sami Zayn clean. Second off, I was on Twitter all night just waiting, thinking like, now they're gonna debut Cody Rhodes here, huh? This is where Cody's gonna be. Then I saw it was Austin fucking Theory, and I said, this is just like watching Monday Night Raw, the worst version of Monday Night Raw.
Cody is not coming to WWE.
Listen, don't say that.
I'm telling you, he's not.
All right.
I've been saying this. He's not coming.
Did you see the report? Did you see the report I sent you?
Yeah, he's not coming.
Listen, he thought he was about to walk up in the WWE and get $4 to $5 million, and then that announcement came out, and Vinnie Mac was like, "And we just wanted to get that publicity going." Sorry. See, I'm like, see, Cody. Now, if Cody goes, now it's really stupid because it's like, see, they handed you a $3 to $5, but then after the news broke, they didn't give a fuck. They didn't give a fuck.
I'm telling you, he's not going. He gonna stay. Now that Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor, it just basically confirmed that he ain't going nowhere. He ain't going nowhere.
True. Is that it for the WWE news?
Yes, it is.
AEW news next, guys. AEW Revolution tonight. Start time 7 p.m. It's the pre-show. Salamander, I told you I had a spoiler. Are you ready?
Yep.
This is coming from InTheRopesWrestling.com. Big debut reported set for AEW Revolution. This is a spoiler. So if you do not want to hear the spoiler, please skip the next 2 minutes to 3 minutes of this video. In a new report from Fightful Select, Shane Strickland, the former Isaiah Swerve Scott, has now signed with AEW and is set to make his debut imminently. Current plans are to have the former NXT North American Champion debut at AEW Revolution, though no details were provided on plans for said debut. Now, Salamander, they could always swerve us and it could be nobody. But if AEW says they got a huge debut outside of the Christian shit, they've normally hit it on the head. So do you see Swerve, Shane Strickland showing up tonight?
Yeah, but I don't think that's a huge debut though.
You don't think so?
Nah, you said spoiler. Then when you was reading, I'm thinking like, is Bray Wyatt coming?
I mean, that's huge. Isaiah Swerve Scott, that's huge. It's not Wyatt huge, but it's huge.
It's mid.
That's not mid.
It's mid because of what he did in the previous company. If he was
that ain't true. Hit Row was over. Hit Row was over in
NXT.
Yes.
NXT, not SmackDown or Raw. Bruh. If he was a big mega star like this was like a Finn Balor jumping over, then yes. Because he didn't really do nothing.
They didn't give him a chance. Top Dollar was out there running his mouth. You can't blame Swerve for that. That was Top Dollar out here beefing with
I'm saying for the people who watch Raw and SmackDown who really didn't tune into NXT or tune into NXT from time to time, they don't know who he is. They just know that
that's not our problem. Just because you didn't watch it doesn't mean it didn't happen. Hit Row was over. It was not Hit Row's fault. Top Dollar was having beef with the Bucks. Top Dollars was having beef with the Bucks, running his mouth. And two, they were cut down before they were given a chance. And 3, why would you debut this group in Kansas? I'm sorry. I think it was Iowa. Might have been Iowa or Kansas. Just like it's not.
You should be over.
First off, come on now. How can you talk about that? How can you say that being a wrestling fan? Well, you know, in certain demographics, it's better to debut other people.
That's what you get for having. It's 2022 trying to have a rap gimmick. That shit played out. It's not.
But you love the Acclaim.
It works for certain people though, but it's not our, like you said, it's not our fault that we didn't watch NXT. It's not our fault that WWE, they can't get over a rap gimmick in certain cities. It's not our fault that AEW knows where to put the Acclaim on the show and where to put them on the card for them to get.
So then don't just sit there and say that Shane Strickland is mid. He's not mid. He's one of the best wrestlers out.
I'm saying for what he did in WWE, he didn't do too much. So
they never gave him a chance.
But that is not our problem. Our problem is what we saw on TV. We didn't see him much.
He was there for he was on TV for what, 2 weeks?
Right.
What can you do in 2 weeks?
We didn't see too much of him. So him coming over there saying this is a big debut, I don't think it's that big just because of the fact that we didn't see what he can do on TV. Most people didn't watch NXT. If they did, the NXT viewership would be up at the 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 like Raw and SmackDown be. It don't. People don't watch NXT like that, so we didn't see much of him. It'd be different like a Keith Lee. We seen Keith Lee and all that. We seen what he
didn't do shit on the main roster.
But
he's technically mid. He's technically mid for what he did in WWE.
We seen Keith
from what you just said.
We don't know who. But Isaiah Swerve Scott we don't know what he's capable of. We only seen him on TV for 2 weeks. I just guess, is he a good wrestler? Yes, but I'm just thinking from what we seen on TV, we have not seen enough for you to say this is a big debut.
This is huge. From what you just said, the words out of your mouth, what he did in WWE was mid. Keith Lee came in, beat Orton, and did shit after that. He didn't do a damn thing after that. So according to that and what you said, what he did in WWE was mid. So the Keith Lee debut was mid.
Way more TV time than he did.
For what? He didn't do shit. He beat Randy Orton and did absolutely nothing.
He had TV time. That's all that mattered.
Okay.
We seen him on TV. You gotta think about the typical fan. We seen him on TV. We only seen this guy 2 weeks. Then you talk about it's a big star.
That's not my problem that y'all don't do y'all homework. Hit Row was over, and better yet, here's what's gonna make it better. Because I guarantee you, Top Dollar on his way. He was with the Acclaim. The Acclaim took a picture with Top Dollar, so Top Dollar might be on his way into the company. And I will be damned if they don't get beat fat. I need the entire Hit Row against the Elite. Take my fucking money. Take my money.
That's fine, but I'm saying people who watch wrestling, you gotta think about WWE's demographics. Not demographics, but their age range, right?
Right.
NXT got old people. Basically.
Plus 50, yep.
Right? Raw, SmackDown has that's where they be bringing in some of the old younger people, but they still have an older crowd, right?
Right.
There's not too many people who's 50 plus years old that know how to work social media like that. So these people really only see these wrestlers once a week when they watch the WWE product. Now, I'm not talking about our generation of people who know how to work social media and stuff like that. That's the 1% who know their independent scenes and know that this guy is really, like, to you, like you saying, he's huge. Yeah. That's the 1%, the people who know, but the majority of WWE audience is that 50 plus crowd that don't know how to work social media like that. So they only see what they see once a week or twice a week, or if you watch NXT, Raw, and SmackDown 3 times a week on TV. So if they really didn't tune into NXT like that, that leads them to only watching Raw and SmackDown. So that means they only seen this guy on TV twice. So how is it a huge? I'm just saying they hyping it up, saying it's huge. Yes, it is huge, but I'm saying for if you take what he did in the last company and then talk like trying to hype it up as being a huge mega debut, it's not that huge because he didn't have a big impact. Was he over? Yes, on NXT. But like I said, NXT be drawing in 500,000 views. They don't do the 1.3, 1.4 million that Raw and SmackDown be doing. SmackDown be doing 2.1. They don't be doing that. So they only know what they see on Raw and SmackDown.
That does not mean that they weren't over. It's not my. Listen, just because we don't know something happened doesn't mean it didn't happen. Right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So there it is. Just because you don't know why this is a big thing, that doesn't give you the right to just diminish it.
Yeah, but I'm saying like he come make his debut, the crowd go wild. So that'll make the people who don't know be like, who is this guy? Let me look more into him. That's fine. But I'm saying I think basically AEW use their words wrong. That's what I believe. Because if you say you got a huge debut, I'm thinking Johnny Gargano. I'm thinking Bray Wyatt. Somebody, Nia Jax even. Like somebody who's been released, who's a big name, who people know. And then you say Isaiah Swerve Scott. I'm like, I know who he is, but I don't think compared to the names that you could have possibly bring in, he's not that huge. That's all I'm saying. Because before when you was reading the spoiler, you was like, it's a spoiler. We got a huge debut that could possibly happen. And then you said his name. So there's like, it kind of took it down. Like, I just think they used their words wrong. That's all.
I don't think that's wrong though.
As any other people who they could possibly bring in at this moment.
But that's not a wrong choice of words. It is a huge debut. Isaiah Swerve Scott is huge.
I don't know. I'll be wrong on this one. I'm gonna go with it's mid. We're gonna see if he make his debut today.
Red herring. It could be Cesaro. That's huge too.
Yeah, something like that. So like that, like Cesaro or Isaiah Swerve Scott. So if I'm saying it's a huge debut that could happen tonight on Revolution, and it's a lot of reports that it's Cesaro, you'll be like, oh shit, all right. A huge debut could happen on AEW Revolution tonight. Reports that it's Akira Tozawa. People like, they ain't huge. Same shit.
But first off, main roster killed Akira Tozawa. Akira Tozawa in NXT was huge.
Yes, he was huge, but it's still what we saw on TV. That's what I'm saying. You
can't blame the fans. They kill people.
KB, you is the 1% that understand these guys' talent that see them wrestle in the NXT, see them wrestle in the Indies and all that stuff. So you know that they've been watered down to wrestle the WWE way, okay? But the typical WWE fan who watches Raw and SmackDown, they see what they see on TV, and they are seeing this guy, so they think that he can't wrestle. That's all. I'm not saying he can't.
But see, those are the WWE fans. See, those are the WWE fans, not the AEW fans, because the AEW fans realize talent when they see it. Why you think we love when we got a Danielson? Why you think we love it when we got a Keith Lee? These are people that the Fed watered down and destroyed. So yes, when I see Isaiah Swerve Scott, Shane Strickland, yes, because I know he can go. Yeah. The match before he dropped the belt to Melo when he had against Santos Escobar, that match was fire.
But let's not get it twisted that AEW brings in new fans every week, right? Basically.
No, it's the hardcore fans.
No, let's say like, because realistically, there's gonna be that one person who's tuning into AEW for the first time every week, basically.
Right.
So for that new fan, if you saying this is a huge debut, and they like, man, this guy was only on WWE television for 2 weeks. I'm just saying, I'm being the devil's advocate.
All I'm saying is you got to do your homework and look deeper than that. Is it because they can't wrestle, or is it because WWE watered them down and never gave them a chance?
Yeah, they watered them down. Just like we know everybody who jumped ship who was with WWE that they can actually go and stuff. But it's just like the way you utilize. You could be utilized. You could actually be one of the greatest technical wrestlers ever, but WWE just water you down to a point where it's like, But the fact that you wasn't utilized like that, that can destroy your push and shit. Because in the people's eyes, you wasn't on. You're not on what I watch. So you irrelevant to me. You gonna have to build your shit back up in the eye of the people for real. Just like Brian Kendrick. In WWE, he been watered down like a motherfucker. But he is one of the greatest technical wrestlers like that wrestle right now. He's trained some of the best wrestlers, Sasha Banks and all that shit. But if he made a debut, we gonna be like, Brian Kendrick, okay, or whatever. Until we see him wrestle, then we gonna be like giving him his props more. But we not that excited for the get-go because of what we saw previously. That's it. What we saw previously with Shane Strickland in WWE as Isaiah Swerve Scott. If you only watch Raw and SmackDown, now I'm not saying that they're like, yeah, it's your fault if you don't watch all of the product. But like I said, NXT only draws in 500,000 viewers. Raw and SmackDown, they in the 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, pushing 2 million. So that's their typical fan base, the people who watch Raw and SmackDown. So if you only watch that, you only see him on TV twice. You being an AEW fan, you excited, yeah, because you know what this guy can do. So you excited when he's come over. But if you're a WWE fan who's just so happy to tune into AEW every now and then, or want to tune into AEW, you like, they overhyping this dude. That's all I'm saying.
No, and I feel you. And I'm just the guy, I'm going to go back and do my homework. That's all I'm saying. So just because they didn't do good in WWE, well, let me go watch them on the indies and see how they were in the indies. And, you know, they come to find out they were fired in the indies. Listen. That's
like somebody being on the basketball team, hooping the shit, and then they just don't get no playing time, but they actually is good as fuck. IQ, like the basketball IQ probably high as hell, but they just don't get no playing time because they overshadowed by the people who's on the team already. It's the same thing. Like, I'm not saying he can't go, but I'm saying like he was overshadowed for sure because it's hella talent on WWE. But for what we saw, we didn't see much for them to be saying this is a huge debut. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying they used their words wrong.
And I'm just saying they used the right terminology. It is a huge debut because Shane Strickland can go. I felt like he didn't get the proper chance. And I felt like the rug was cut from underneath.
Y'all let us know in the comment section below.
Anything else you want to add? Moving on, Chris Jericho explains why he turned down being an AEW EVP. This is coming from WrestlingNews.co. Jericho, no.
You know he's about to leave.
Jericho says this. You mentioned earlier that I wasn't an EVP. The only reason I wasn't an EVP is because I didn't want to be. They asked me and I said, no, that's way too much work for what you're planning on doing. And Tony Khan's the boss anyways. I knew that from the start. So I wasn't going to play grab ass and use EVP as an ego boost. Fuck that. Just give me more money. My job was to be a big star and make new ones so everyone is valuable. What do you have to say about Chris Jericho turning down the EVP position and taking more money?
Chris Jericho, he turned it down simply just because, like I said, he knew he was gonna leave once his contract was up and finish his career in WWE. I mean, the guy is almost 50 years old, if not already.
He's in his 50s.
So he's damn near pushing 60. So by the time his contract ends, then his contract ends with WWE, he's gonna be damn near 60 something. So he's wrapping up his career. That's why he don't want no long-term shit. After he's done with wrestling, he's about to go tour. He don't want nothing serious. He about to wrapping up his storylines at AEW. He started some shit. When he jumped ship, he just wanted people to know that he's not washed like people was thinking he was in WWE and shit like that with the storyline with Kevin Owens. At that point, you know, we all started to think Chris Jericho was washed. So he left, went to New Japan, did some shit out there to let motherfuckers know he's still Chris Jericho and all this shit like that. Don't get it twisted, he'll still slap a motherfucker. And then he went over to AEW, did some numbers over there, became the first ever AEW champion, and then put on 5-star matches and shit over there. Now he's wrapping up their storylines, jump ship and go to WWE, finish out his storylines there, and then retire and go tour with Fozzy. That's simple. That's a plan.
I do agree. I don't see him once his contract's over, I do see him going back to WWE and wrapping up his career there. Last story before we get into the match card.
Hired from WWE, he about to drop an album.
He got don't he got like multiple albums out already though?
Yeah, but he dropping the Go Home album. He about to go tour. Be on a 3-year tour.
All right. Last story before we move on to the Revolution card. Jake Roberts on key differences between Tony Khan and Vince McMahon backstage. This is coming from WrestlingInc.com. Jake the Snake Roberts is entering his 3rd year as a regular performer in AEW, but he admits he didn't know much about the promotion before he was brought in. He says this: I met him at the first TV I went to. Just a sweetheart, man. I thought he was just some jabroni that carried papers around. I didn't know who the hell he was because he doesn't come across as a Vince McMahon, stare you down type. He's very personable. He's very nice. He's very nice to be around. Yeah, and I love the energy he has. It's incredible, the energy. And his appreciation of what the talent is doing out there, it's incredible. I've seen him leave his position and sprint to halfway across the building to tell someone what a great match. I've never seen Vince do that. He also goes on to say, I appreciate everything that they do, everything including birthday cakes for guys on their birthdays too, to the way they handle everything, the hotels that they put us in, the flights, to just all of it, man. It's a class organization, and I see what's happened. He's taken what he's been doing for years with football people and the soccer people in England because he owns a club over there, and he's given that same type of love. That's what I call it, to wrestlers, and it's absolutely wonderful. Every time I hear people talk about Tony Khan, it's always nice things. Now, yeah, he had the little Twitter back and forth with Big Swole, and I think that, it was kind of, he messed up, but Big Swole messed up. I think there was equal accountability on both parts. But every time I hear something about Tony Khan, it's always stuff like this. He's a good guy, personable, very easy to talk to. He doesn't come across as a Vince. What do you think about all that?
I don't want to jinx him though, but if you start off doing something new, you're gonna be excited about it too. So I would just like to say, give it some time, give it some years, let AEW get a decade under their belt and see if he still do the same shit. I just think it's just the beginning right now, so he's just excited. You excited, you go above and beyond when you're excited about something. Now, let's wait. Let's see what he's been doing it for some time now. When shit is seasoned a little bit, let shit marinate.
You just really want Tony Khan to just turn into Vince McMahon so bad. Why do you hate the love that Tony Khan gives?
I don't. I just think it's just fresh right now. It's shit. When you first get excited about something, you willing to do anything. You willing to go above and beyond. But after you've been doing that same thing for year after year after year after year, and shit like that, you might not go above and beyond time after time after time. So I just think, AEWs, they still got, they still wet behind the ears and shit like that. So just let them get a decade under their belt, and then we'll see where it's at. I want to see the same people come back out and see if he stood the same way. That's just it. I'm not jinxing him. I was just saying it's too early to tell right now. So of course, in the first couple of years, everybody gonna have good things to say about you and shit like that. But after let's just see how it is after you've been doing this for some years. Just like the quality of AEW. Let's see, they're bringing on this amount of quality type matches. But let's see after 10 years if they'll be producing the same type amount. Are they going to go up or they're going to go backwards? I don't know. Let's just see. Right now, they still new. So it's exciting and everything. But let's just see after they've been here for 10 years.
I just find it hard to see how you can support a company that makes talent pay for their own flights, pay for their own hotels. And here's this brand new company 3 years in, and you got a legend, Jake the Snake, saying they put us in hotels, they take care of our flights, and this company just goes above and beyond for the talent. I mean, look, Tony Khan running from Gorilla to find somebody halfway across the building just to say, hey, you had a great match.
Think about this. Vince McMahon, he's been around the wrestling game since like the what I would say like late 60s, early 70s and shit. So he's running it how it was ran back then. Vince McMahon's like damn near 80 years old right now. So he was running it. He's running it how, you know how older people are, they're stuck in their ways. So he's running it the way it was taught to him. Tony Khan, who he come from? His daddy owns the Jaguars, the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's treating the people who signed to him as a team, which is y'all own away games. Y'all get put into hotels. Y'all ain't got to worry about that shit. The team play for that shit. That's how he's treating his people at AEW. How he's treating them the way he see it. So I just think it's just modern. Like you got one guy who's running shit the old school way that was taught to him, and you got a new guy who's running it the way that was taught to him, the way he's seeing how things is made. It's just it. You just got two different perspectives.
Okay.
That's how I see it. Because Vince McMahon, he been around since, when people really thought wrestling was fucking real. Where if you was your character was a vampire in the 60s, motherfuckers thought you was a fucking vampire. Motherfuckers thought Andre the Giant was 8 foot tall and stuff, but he was probably 7'1" or 6'11", some shit like that. Like this was back then when people really bought into wrestling, where wrestling was a fucking draw, like as boxing and shit like that too. So it was ran a different way, and that was during the time when Vince was brought up. He would start up doing commentary and shit like that, and he didn't want people to know that he was the owner of WWF at the time. When it was called WWF at the time, he was on the commentary desk and shit like that. He actually took that back. He didn't want people to know that he was the owner. That didn't come out to the screw job, Montreal screw job, when it came out, when he ran for the belt. Then that's when it was revealed that he was actually the owner of WWF and shit. So then that's when WWF took the change that it did. But he's running it the way that he was brought up to, the way his daddy taught him and shit like that.
But so I will agree, or I won't even agree. I see what you're saying, but you can always change for the better. This is a $1 billion company. You mean to tell me you can't pay for your talent's hotel? You can't pay for your talent's flight?
Vince, we already know the type of man Vince is. Vince care about money, right?
Right.
Vince been running this for like over 30 years. He was running it the way his dad taught him and stuff. Then when the Montreal school job happened, that was going to lead in going into the Attitude Era, that was a change for him. He changed it that way. Then he changed it again when we went to the Ruthless Aggression Era. Then he seen how profitable it was when they started getting more kids and stuff. Then that's when he changed it to the PG era. And that's how we get it now. So now he at the point of his life, he's collecting money. That's why he got not Tony Khan, but Nick Khan. Nick Khan is the reason why they got the $1 billion 5-year deal with Peacock. Tony Khan is the reason why they brought SmackDown at the Summerfest. Tony Khan is the reason why they just did like a $40 million deal with Netflix to do a documentary about Vince McMahon. Tony Khan's bringing him money.
Nick Khan.
Nick Khan is bringing him money, and that's what he cared about at this point. So he went through stages and stuff, and during the stages, when he like during the Attitude Era and the especially with his Aggression Era, it was only WWE at the time. And when you jump straight, go to TNA, that okay, but it was really WWE. WWE is where everybody wanted to be at. So you had to accept that way. So if you wanted y'all to take care of your hotels and stuff, y'all had to accept it. If you want to be in the big leagues, you had to accept it. You don't want to go overseas, you want to be here in the States. And so that was the only company now. Now it's another company who's doing things that are totally opposite. You think they're better, but it's just the beginning. We don't know where they would be at 10 years. We don't know if they will still be, if they bringing in profitable money to still provide those type of things in the next 10 years though. So only time will tell. Right now, Are they doing a good thing? Yes. Right now, are they treating their wrestlers way better, and wrestlers and employees way better than WWE? Hell yeah. But let's just give it time. They still babies right now. Let's just give it time. 10 years. Let's give it time.
Sounds like you want AEW to fold.
I don't. I'm just saying, just give it time. We don't know where they would be at.
All right. Well, we're gonna leave it there. Moving on to Revolution. I will be defending my championship. We didn't do a predictions for the Elimination Chamber. I'm sorry. We didn't do a prediction for the premium live event in the Superdome in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia Elimination Chamber. We didn't do a prediction show, so therefore I could not defend my championship. But Salamander did beat me at the Royal Rumble, and I am a man of my word. I said I would defend it. I am defending it on an AEW show where, if you guys don't know, Salamander, when it comes to predictions for these AEW shows, typically has my number. He would have been a champion at Full Gear, but he didn't want to believe me when I said Kenny was going to lose. He stuck with Kenny. He would have beat me there, but we tied. So I'm quite nervous, but I think I'm going to win.
We'll see.
We have the buy-in. Hook versus QT Marshall. I'm going Hook. Hook's a star.
Hook.
You're going Hook. Okay.
You've been getting pushed lately.
Next up, we have Layla Hirsch versus Chris Statlander. I'm going to go Layla Hirsch.
Ooh. Let's come back to that. I got to think about that.
All right. We have the House of Black. Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews versus Death Triangle, Pac, and Penta, and Eric Redbeard, who made his return.
I'm going House of Black.
You going House of Black?
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go House of Black too, because Death Triangle won the last time they won at it, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go House of Black.
But that was when
Buddy Matthews
made the debut.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna go House of Black. Moving on to the main card. We have the AEW World Championship match. Hangman Adam Page versus Adam Cole. I'm going Hangman.
Adam Cole.
Oh, you're going for an AEW title change.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. CM Punk versus MJF, the dog collar match. I'm gonna go CM Punk.
CM Punk.
I feel like they're gonna swerve us and MJF is gonna win.
Nah, I don't think he's gonna get too off.
That you might be right, because technically he beat Punk in Chicago twice.
Yeah, I don't think they about to get too off.
Okay, so CM Punk.
What city they in?
They are in Orlando, Florida.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think he's gonna get too off on CM Punk.
All right.
One I'll give him, but nah.
So we're both going CM Punk.
Yeah.
All right. We have Dr. Britt Baker.
I'm calling CM Punk, but I'm calling something with Warlow.
Okay. We have the AEW Women's World Championship matches next. We have Thunder Rosa against Britt Baker. The AEW Women's World Champion, the Doctor, Britt Baker, DMD. I'm going with the Doctor.
Yeah, I'm going with the Doctor with shenanigans.
With some shenanigans?
Yeah, but I still believe that Thunder Rosa is injured, but it's one of them injuries that she just need to rest for a few weeks, and it'd be cool. But I'm going with the Doctor with some shenanigans, and she gonna drop the title at Double or Nothing.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going with the Doctor as well. Face of the Revolution ladder match: Keith Lee, Orange Cassidy, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, Wardlow, and Christian Cage. I'm going Wardlow.
Oh,
I'm going Wardlow.
I don't know if to go Wardlow or Keith Lee. Shit. Ooh, shit. So who wins this? They get a title shot.
Yeah, so they're getting a title shot for the TNT Championship, and it's going to take place on their St. Patrick's Day episode.
going Keith Lee. I don't think it's time. That's too close for Warlow.
Going Keith Lee?
I don't think Warlow gonna get it yet. And I think if Warlow, depends on when this match take place. If the CM Punk match take place before this match, if Warlow don't turn on MJF, then he's not gonna win the match. If he turns on MJF, he's winning that match because that's gonna be his push that he's gonna get the TNT title. If he don't turn on MJF, Keith Lee winning.
So who are you locked in with? Keith Lee?
Yeah.
He's locked in with Keith Lee. All right. We have the three-way match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Red Dragon, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly. The Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson versus Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy Luchasaurus. I'm going to go with a Jurassic. You going Red Dragon?
Red Dragon. They gonna put him this word. Red Dragon gonna win. Adam Cole will come out on top. The undisputed, what they supposed to be called on AEW?
The Undisputed Originals.
Undisputed Originals is about to run ship until Kenny Omega come back.
I'm gonna go Jurassic Express.
To come back, and they're gonna do a one in a lifetime match, and it's gonna be the AEW Championship and the AEW World Tag Team Championships on the line. It's gonna be a three-way match. If Kenny and the Young Bucks win, they get the belts. The Young Bucks get the tag belts. Kenny get the main title. I think that's what they're gonna end up going.
I'm going with Jurassic Express, and like you, I feel like Kenny Omega is gonna make his return after the main event match. Adam Cole's gonna lose. Hangman Page is gonna get out of there. The Bucks, Adam Cole, and Red Dragon are gonna beat down the Bucks, and the lights are gonna go out, and you're gonna hear Kenny's music, and that crowd is gonna go nuts.
Adam Cole gonna win.
Okay, I hear you.
Adam Cole gonna win. And it's gonna end with a stare down between him and Kenny Omega.
Okay. Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston. I'm going Eddie Kingston. I believe Santana and Ortiz are going to portray Jericho tonight.
Yeah, Eddie Kingston. Chris Jericho is wrapping up his storyline, so I don't expect him to win nothing. He probably go on a losing streak, but win matches every now and then in between.
Okay. Next up, we have your girl, Jade Cargill, defends the AEW TBS Championship against Tay Conti. You're going Jade? I'm going Jade.
You already know who I'm picking.
I'm going Jade. Moxley versus Danielson.
This match should get bumped up 2 places on the top 25 list.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully the match is good. Moxley versus Danielson. I am in the air on this.
I'm going with Danielson, but it's a possibility it might end in a draw.
I'm gonna go Moxley.
I'm gonna go Danielson.
All right, and
I'm going with the one finish that you said a couple weeks ago, where you said something like,
"Oh, he chokes him out, and then Moxley gives him the finger."
Yeah, while he got the yes lock in or whatever. Yeah.
And he just passes out. The Stone Cold Bret Hart finish.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
Okay.
But I'm going with Danielson picking up the win.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Like I said, I'm going Moxley. Last match, and then we have to revisit the other match you didn't put somebody down for. We have the AHFO, Andrade El Idolo, Matt Hardy, Isaiah Cassidy versus Darby Allin, Sting, and Sammy Guevara in a trios tornado tag match. I'm gonna go Andrade El Idolo in the AHFO because Andrade took the pinfall in the TNT Championship match on Rampage.
I'm going Andrade with the debut of Jeff Hardy.
With the debut of Jeff Hardy, he can't legally be talked to until March 9th.
Oh shit. Well, he gonna be in the crowd just clapping and shit. But he gonna pop up on Dynamite.
I think he'll probably pop up on Dynamite.
When is he supposed to get that title match? Andrade. Is that this week?
No, he lost. He lost to. Yeah, bro. He had. Yeah, that happened this past Friday. Remember last Friday, he lost in a singles match for the TNT title to Sammy Guevara.
Damn.
And then he lost the triple threat. That's why I think he's going to get the win.
Yeah, if he get the win here, depending on what they do on Wednesday, he might need to go back to WWE.
Nah, I think they're just waiting. Like I said, he might. I honestly can see Andrade holding some trios titles go before the end of the year, and I can see him winning the TNT Championship before the end of the year too.
Andrade broke a record in AEW right now. He challenged for the TNT Championship the most time.
That's not true either. I think Cody Rhodes has challenged that thing for like 5 times.
AEW don't speak about Cody right now. So Andrade...
That's not true either. He's been mentioned plenty times. Listen, this ain't WWE where we just pretend like they just never existed in the company. But going back, Layla Hirsch versus...
Andrade he challenged for the TNT title the most times consistently.
Consecutively?
Yeah.
It was only twice.
Right. In the same week. It was Wednesday then Friday.
No, it was Friday and Friday.
Well, the 2 weeks in a row, and you lost.
And the second week was a triple threat.
He still lost.
Listen, you can't win them all.
Cody Rhodes at least waited in between pay-per-views. He challenged 2 weeks in a row and still lost.
Cody has lost the TNT Championship and then has won away every time for like 2 to 3 weeks. Sounds like a crybaby.
Yeah, he didn't lose two weeks in a row.
Listen, that's just the booking, bro. You can't. Listen, Andrade is fine. You need to lock down your last pick. Layla Hirsch versus Chris Statlander.
I'm going Chris Statlander.
You're going Statlander.
Yeah.
Solid pick. I was thinking Chris too. Well, that's it. That's all the news. You heard our predictions. We will see when we cover what, week 9?
Yep. Monday is gonna be covered. It's gonna be posted tomorrow due to the pay-per-view being today. So be on the lookout for the week 9 review. Brought to you by Camilio Salamander and KB Demar. That's it. So go ahead and leave a comment what you think about today's news. Leave us your predictions about Revolution. If you want to check out our podcast, go ahead and see exclusive episodes on the D&B podcast. That's on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcast from. You can catch us on there. And we'll see y'all Monday.
I started with nothing and came out a king. I've been the one that's been ballin' for rings. It's been me and my team and we chasing the green. My team be the shit, we ain't ballin' for free. My team be the shit, we ain't ballin' for free.